without even realizing I said this thing.
You used to it, right?
Exactly. So what's up? What's going on?
Yeah, it's normal. Yesterday, Monday, you know, it was kind of, Mondays are generally busy for me because I get to do this morning and I have the news as well. But anyway, I enjoy it. So like I always say, as long as you're doing something and you enjoy it, keep on doing it. But the moment you feel like it's not meant for you, leave it.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Go look for another thing to do. Sure. Well, it's not been very easy. The traffic all the time. I mean, Jennifer, it's crazy.
The traffic
getting to work, it's a problem.
Why hanga yen mi am moto? Yena de yek lolu way ñun lolu yengaluñu.
It's a problem, you know. So why ñun ñi nga xamne ñoo de dawal ni?
Waaw.
Sona nañ torop. The traffic is hectic, especially this morning. It's a problem. Not this morning, but this morning, this morning of the traffic.
I know. Yeah, so moving on, I'll just give you a rundown of some of the things that we have today. So we have the African proverb, we have the newspaper review. We are joined by our colleague Momodou Mboj to help us analyze some of the stories that we have on the paper. Also Community Watch. Today we'll be taking a look at adolescent girls' education. We are joined by Phoebe Aina Grant Sanyang, reproductive health activist. I know if you've been following QTV keenly, this name should be very familiar. And on social issues, we'll be looking at using 3D to enhance local businesses. Fatu Jukadabo, co-founder and director of Make 3D Company, will as well join us here to tell us how she's using 3D to solve societal problems in the Gambia. And also, the click segment is here. So what is our African proverb?
Oh yeah, African proverb. Let's take a look at this. Wherever a man goes to dwell, his character goes with him. Meaning, what defines a man is his character, which is inseparable from him and follows him wherever he goes, Jennifer.
Okay, so this is about character. This is about a bit connected to what we talked about yesterday. The fact that it takes a whole village to raise a child. And also for a child to like have good character, or generally for an individual to have good character, there are several factors involved. You know, it has to do with the home, it has to do with the community, the level of education, you know, the family that the individual is coming from. You know, some of the things that you see at home, is it sexual or gender-based violence? Is that what you're born out of? Then your character, that's the path you're going to follow. You know, are you from a community whereby everyone smokes, everyone doesn't care about rules and regulations at some point? That is how you grow up to become. But let's also agree with the fact that some people are just naturally responsible. Well, I don't know if you know that.
I wanted to say this.
Despite how bad the community or the home is, they just responsible.
We have seen a lot of those things.
Yes.
There are people from very bad communities.
Sure.
But at the end of the time, these people, they become very responsible elders. Sometimes these people are born with this gender.
Yeah, so
I believe. Although it's not.
Sometimes when they want to yala mo yarnet. So how man is
and I
applicable
believe
in
that.
this instance.
I believe that, Jennifer, because it happens most of the time, and there are people here from different backgrounds, different communities. When you look at their background, I mean, if it's not maybe how they were born, it would have been a very different story.
It would have been. So, and I think looking at this, we also need to talk about honesty. For me, honesty is a very, very important character of an individual. You want to be a leader, you want to be a business individual, you want to work for someone. Honesty is something that you need to have. The moment you do not have this, you are failing. You know, if you're a businessman and you're not honest, you're going to take people's money and you're not going to pay back. If you're a leader and you're not honest, then there might be some form of nepotism, there might be some form of favoritism when it comes to the way you are managing your employees. Honesty comes in. If you're working for someone, you have to be honest as well. You're getting paid, so if you're not honest, then you're not going to put in the same thing.
Definitely. Well, honesty has to do with the whole circle, Jennifer. It has to start from the top to the bottom. You understand? When those, you know, in authority are honest to their people below them, then the work will continue, it will go. But at the end of time, if there is no honesty, nothing will work. That's why our religion teaches us to be very honest and be patient. You see, honesty and patience goes together. If you are not patient, you cannot be honest. You understand? You want this thing, but patience makes you to be very patient so that you can be able to get this. Mr. Mboj is laughing at that.
Mr. Much.
Yes.
Mr. Much, talk to us about character.
You know, patient makes you to be patient, isn't it?
Mr. Much, the last time, thank you so much for joining us. We were just talking about moral, you know, and character in general. And I was telling you, one thing I love about you is the fact that sometimes you don't even comment on what people feel or what people are doing. That is you, you know. So what do you feel about how people should really mold themselves to get into society and achieve what they want to achieve?
That's a difficult one. And you're right, patience is a character trait, which is very, very, very good to have. Yeah, so earlier on when you were talking about the individual, how do you mold yourself, how do you mold character? I'm not sure whether people mold themselves, they just find themselves in circumstances. So, you're born into a certain family, you didn't decide it.
Yeah.
You're born into a certain community, you didn't decide it.
No.
In a certain country, you didn't decide it. So most of what made you, your formative years certainly, were outside yourself. So you grow up discovering yourself. You do not invent yourself. You know what I mean? So this is the idea of molding a character. It's really the difference between a garden and a bush. That is why they call it cultivation, to cultivate. You're going back to this agricultural imagery where I have to sow something and I have to wait, patience, for it to grow. That's the character. Yeah. So this is what you do. Once you try to cultivate something, you have to wait. There's a lot of patience. There's a lot of patience involved. And what kind of character traits do I cultivate? These are really very, very difficult for us who are, well, I call myself sometimes, there's this moral system, this ethical system called stoicism. So this is where they tell you temperance, you know, courage, proportionality, taking always the middle ground. Yes. So these are some of the concepts that I use to try to mold the self. But one certainly needs a kind of example. We all need examples that we can sort of
this is very interesting.
Yeah.
What time is
so
like,
what did you say previously? Say patient to be very, what did you say?
Patient.
Patience. It's certainly a character trait. It's a
to
character
be more
trait.
patient. Yes, patient makes you patient. I mean, Jenna,
no, you know, I always love being here with you.
No, why? It's my power.
No, anyway, we'll go for a short commercial break, and when we come back, we will head right onto our newspaper review, and we are joined by our Momo Dumboja. I already introduced him, so we'll be right back.
Join the Gambia's fastest growing network and enjoy high-speed 4G LTE. Dial *335# to subscribe to QCell's 4G LTE service. There's no need to swap your SIM. QCell, Senior Boss. We innovate, others follow.
Welcome back, viewers, from that short commercial break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning, and we'll be heading right on to the newspaper review. And like I mentioned earlier, we're joined by our colleague, Momo Dumboch. So that is The Voice.
Yes, The Voice newspaper, Jenna. But let's take a look at the headline. Today, we don't have the Fourier.
I think we do.
Yes.
And the point is well.
APRC NPP alliance is a win for Gambia. Dudu Ja of APRC. Gambia government reverses COVID-19 protocols for reopening of winter 2021-2022 tourism season. My people, GT board. Okay. Over $400,000 is alleged theft arraigned. Okay. 7 institutional isolation evaders finally discharged. That's what we have.
That is The Voice, and this is the Standard. We have JAMA victims dismayed by UDP's welcoming of alleged enabler. Turkish company applies to operate ferries on Banjul-Barra crossing point. Government to build 1,500-bed hospital in Farato. UTG welcomes 900 freshmen. 2 suspects held for cannabis cultivation in Bruceby. Woman found guilty of beating child with pestle. We also have government relaxes COVID-19 arrival rules as tourist season nears. Yes, so that is all we have today. So yeah, this is something that we discussed, Mr. Mbuch, but I think now it is a reason for us to further discuss it in depth, because it seems it's something that they're working on now, which has to do with Turkish company, applies to operate ferries on Banjul-Barra crossing point. I know you're a big fan of privatization, but if you look at it, there's some controversy when it comes to this Turkish company applying to operate ferries on Banjul-Barra crossing point, because according to this particular report by the Standard newspaper, it says that the Gambia Ferry Service, who has reportedly reached out to President Barrow to complain. So which means the Gambia Ferry Services are not willing to accommodate a Turkish company coming here to operate ferries from Banjul to Barra. So according to the story, they went to President Adam Barrow to complain. We cannot confirm that, but that is what the story says. So what do you think if we are supposed to have a Turkish company operate ferries from Banjul to Barra, but just generally privatization of certain state institutions generally?
Yeah, certain services, certainly. And with the Banjul ferry services, according to what you've just said, they're not willing to accommodate this privatization. Well, that's really an economic decision. I'm not sure whether it should be left to the Banjul ferry services to decide. So you're going to have all parties involved here sitting to discuss what's best. I mean, and when we say privatization, be careful, because when you privatize, you've got to have a regulatory body.
Sure.
That is the key. You have your regulatory body, and you have conditions. You see, this private company, you are going to deliver A, B, C, and D, otherwise there are penalties involved. So the secret is the regulatory body. That's really what the key is. So yes, I think stuff like that should be privatized. Government shouldn't spend too much money there, and then we put the right regulation in place so that they will deliver what they need to deliver. There's a reason why they want to privatize. I wonder if the Banjul ferry services, whether they've made enough money to buy these ferries, for instance.
Yeah, but you just said government shouldn't spend money on certain things. So for you, are you trying to say that probably the Gambia ferry service, when it comes to the ferries that are operating currently, should be scrapped and have the Turkish completely control this?
Not necessarily so. These things are there already, let them run. But any other new initiative I'm going to do, I'm going to try to think of ways of bringing in private sector more and more and more. What already is there, there's really no need to change that. It doesn't have to be like that. And never mind whether it's Turkish, Indian, or whatever, it all depends on your regulatory body,
and
how you do it.
Because
all over the world, go anywhere, you have lots of foreigners, I mean, going to invest in other countries. I mean, capital is borderless. You know what I mean? This is a phenomenon all over the world, so why should be an exception? The secret is have a sound, good regulatory body that is with integrity, which really matters, which goes to the heart of this.
Absolutely.
And then we shouldn't be taken advantage of once you have your structures in place. So it's not a matter of the nationality, even though now I do hear from a growing number of voices, people complaining that, oh, foreigners are taking over, and this kind of talk can be quite unhealthy in the longer term. When citizens begin to feel that foreigners are taking over, that's quite dangerous. Socially, it might have social repercussions later on.
Well, it happened in many countries. I mean, recently we've seen what happened in South Africa. They were sending other nationals back to their country, in fact, to the extent of beating them, to some of them to death.
It's like xenophobic.
Yes. So let's take a look at the disadvantages of doing this, because obviously there will be a downsizing of some of the staff at the ferry terminal. And according to the paper, 200 people are supposed to go home. So if these people are home, what are they going to do? How are they going to earn their living?
Yes, unfortunately, stuff like downsizing, you've seen it in businesses all over the world. Whenever a company comes, when I look at the situation, I will determine the optimum number of employees that I need. When if there are this excess number, then I have to get rid of that. I'm sorry. It's really up to me to go and find another job. Or maybe there's a way that the company can do it. You know, the people I'm going to retrench, perhaps give them some compensatory stuff. There's ways that we do it. But again, let's stop being sentimental. To run a company or to run a country, sometimes it takes very, very tough decisions.
It does.
When you want to become a populist and just follow popular sentiment, you are not going to achieve anything. Let me tell you that.
Yeah, and this takes my attention to when the OIC had to go and be marking certain streets and certain people's houses, that because of the road expansion. You know, it takes me there, the fact that when development comes, we have to deal with certain consequences it comes with. And this is in relation to that as well.
Development, innovation, you know, we like using these terms such as innovating, let's innovate. But just think about the consequence of innovating. When you innovate, it means you've invented something, you've moved on from an old way of doing things. But people who are masters of that old way, you've essentially made them redundant. You've taken away their jobs. There are always consequences for these things. But for some people, they want to have their cake and eat it. I want to develop, yet I don't want to pay the consequences. There are always consequences in whatever we do. We all know it in our private lives.
Absolutely. And that's the problem we have, because when you talk about privatization in the Gambia, there are many companies, when they privatize them, I think that will be the best thing to do. But it's very difficult. At the end of time, you're thinking, okay, how many people are going to lose their jobs? What is going to happen? There is a man sitting out there thinking about his position and, you know, all that he gets when it comes to that job. So it's very difficult, and there are many things. And that OIC thing too, when they marked some of these compounds, there were a lot of noise about this marking. And at the end of time, nothing was done, Mr. Mboy. So it's difficult.
Yes, it takes tough decisions. Maybe the only concession, as it were, if I can call it that, would be it doesn't have to be harsh. Talk to them, make them understand see how far you can help. Sometimes you just cannot help all the way. See how far you can help and provide that help. It doesn't have to be harsh when we do these things. There's a way that perhaps we can soften the fall, if one can call it that. So that I can say.
Yeah, so moving on, let's take a look at education as UTG welcomes 900 freshmen. So what does this mean for Gambia, that young people are trying to get educated, you know, in engineering, education, science, you name it?
Yes, I mean, even recently we've been discussing it, the strike, the proposed strike by the staff association. Obviously, I mean, 900 new students. I wonder how many of them are in STEM, doing engineering, medicine, because for a long time we observe that maybe in the social sciences or law and stuff like that.
Most of the time.
You have most people graduate in those areas. So, and we know that perhaps what we need, what is required now really in our society is more science-driven, as it were, education, engineers and medical people and that sort of thing, really, to be honest. So, but it's all good. Okay. The more people are educated, the better. The aggregate, the society will benefit, you know. So we can lift. That is all connected to national development. Right now, what is it? Literacy rate maybe 51 when it comes to university graduation, obviously much lower. And as a society, as a nation, I'm not sure how you can develop really with such numbers. My suspicion is that perhaps you need 75 to 80%, if you like, of educated citizenry, so that perhaps you can move on. So there's a connection that we tend to underplay, but to my mind, I think there's a huge correlation between the two.
Okay. Mr. Boj, I have a question. I want you to help me clarify this. I've been hearing a lot of things, you know, about this. Education, at the end of the time, are you learning to get a job at the end of your education, or are you learning to be able to live your life?
Yeah, this is an age-old question, really. What is education for? As I said, there's one definition which I like, which says that education, the final aim of education, is to teach you to think. The rest, you know, when I have a vocation, slightly different, be it law or medicine or anything. When I have a job, when I can have a job, that's fine. It incorporates that. It's a huge chunk of it. Why education in its broadest sense goes beyond that. How do I live a life? Education is for life. That is why they say to learn how to think, or as somebody else put it, said, how do I convert ideas into habits? How do I internalize? Without that internalization, can I call myself educated? We once had a Secretary General called Dr. Jabez Langley. He was a university professor before he came to the Gambia and became Secretary General. When we were at high school, he once made this fantastic distinction between the certificated and the educated. So we went on in life, I certainly went on in life trying to make the distinction. Man, what did that man mean? Man, what did he mean?
Yeah.
So it took me a while. One has to be really experienced to get the difference between being merely certificated and being educated.
Yeah, so like we've been saying this, the fact that your education has to reflect some of the societal problems that you have. You know, the fact that you're educated, that should give you an opportunity to solve some of those things. If it doesn't, then you probably need to question the level.
Well,
Is it?
I'm not sure whether just because I am educated, I should solve things. I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
What I see about education, for instance, I give this example. I was brought up by my grandmother, who never went to school. But again, afterwards, as a grown-up, when I reflect back on the stuff that she believed in, maybe 60–75% of what she believed in, I don't.
Okay.
So there must be a shift
that?
because I've had some education, I've had some experience that she never had. Your culture is never complete. It's always work in progress.
Yeah.
Every generation, there's something that you must give back. Don't simply be imitating, be following. You have to innovate.
And that is the process to changing things as well,
innovate.
is
That's
it?
the only way you can change things.
Yeah.
So one doesn't feel any betrayal as such. I mean, rather, it is a continuation. Somebody once said that you take what is significant in your culture and give it a new lease of life. You know, you look to what is going on, what might the future look like, so you're part of a wider, broader, global conversation.
Yes. The reason why I ask that question is most people will tell you, "Janga be jehal, why be ligi awma ligay." I don't think you need to janga to have ligay. You need to janga to be able to create that ligay.
In a way.
Well, some people can. Some people are good inventors, for instance. Others are not.
Yeah.
There are different talents. We need a whole variety of talents to function as a society, yes? I just have to discover what do I think that I'm good at. I just follow that. Rather, if I want to go out and follow what others are doing, because perhaps I think that other subjects have more prestige, well, I will be disappointed because perhaps my natural talents are not in that.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of knowing what I can do, where I think my strengths are, to follow that, rather than trying to follow anybody else.
Yeah.
You need a variety to form a community.
Yeah,
really.
and Mr. Boyd, that takes me to parents sometimes when their children have aggregate 6 at grade 9, then they'll be forced to do science or to do commerce instead of art because they feel their IQ is so high to an extent that they're not supposed to be in these fields. We've seen that.
I think when it comes to that, I'm also a guilty one because my
You did
high
that?
school days, I wanted to be a doctor. I did I did science, you know.
That was just a fairy tale at a time.
So from there, I have to move.
When even that bias towards the sciences, thinking that students in the sciences are smarter. It was there even during our time. You know, people like us, they used to call us, the arty, the arty kind of people. I love literature and history and stuff like that. I just didn't care. I was comfortable in what I was doing. This is really the point.
And doing it well as well.
When I realized early on that I like stuff like language, and I want to be in it, so I just didn't care. So, most of my friends were science students. I enjoyed, our discussions. I remember talking about the Doppler effect. It took a long time for them to explain to me what is the Doppler effect, stuff like that. I enjoyed stuff like that.
All right, so moving on.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, moving on due to time constraints. I think this is our last headline. Government relaxes COVID-19 arrival rules as tourist season nears. This is a win for some of our brothers and sisters working in the tourism sector right now, because for the past 2 years the tourism season has been very bad.
The tourism season, I've been doing a lot of recordings at the some of the hotels.
Yeah.
When you look at the situation, the condition, most of their staff are at home. They don't go to work, and it is very sad. It's very sad.
Absolutely, but let's remember that this is just one part whether they will come or not.
That's the big question anyway.
So we really do not know what was going on there. But of course, that's a good idea, because we know that around the world, governments are sort of once in a while revisiting these protocols depending on circumstances. For us recently, we've been put on the green list, isn't it? So at least from the UK, tourists from the UK can come to the Gambia. That's all fine. So absolutely, we need to do this. I mean, we all know how much tourism is really, how much it contributes to our GDP. We know the employment it creates, even though we are amidst a pandemic, but yet we must adjust really according to circumstances. If you go, can you imagine if you go one more year with the poor tourism, and it looks like it, we're doing what we can, but really it depends on whether they will come on.
That's the big question.
Well, Mr. Mboy, before we say bye, it's important. I think the hotel industry also should come up with certain things. Domestic tourism. Instead of waiting for tourists from UK or any other country, why not we do what we call domestic tourism? I mean, to be encouraging our own people to do tourism.
What do you mean domestic tourism? From within or from the region?
From within.
Because the talk is really now from the region, with Ghanaians coming, Nigerians coming. We know that in Ghana, for instance, a huge percentage of their tourists really come from the West African region. Can we do that? Yes, there's something that we can do, but I'm not sure that you can stimulate it immediately and it happens this season or next season. It is sort of like an intermediate to longer term project.
And it takes research.
It takes time really to make that market work. Right now we know that substantially our tourists come from Europe, really. They're Europeans, the Brits, the Dutch, the Scandinavians, and that sort of thing. So for now, this is what is. We have to deal with this. We know that we have longer-term problems, really, in tourism. How do we redefine it? I mean, for tourism, really, for your GDP to depend on 25% or so of tourism, I'm not sure whether that is healthy. I'm not sure about that. We should be going more.
It isn't healthy.
I'm not
has
sure.
to do a lot of mental, because then you'll be like, oh, is this happening or not? Because it's not static.
But that's it. And the point is, it depends so much on what is happening outside. Not depends on what you do. You know, whatever happens outside will affect people who will come in, then you are in trouble. It's a huge chunk.
Isn't healthy at all. Thank you so much for joining us, Mobono Boch. So right now, we are heading right on to our community watch, and we'll be discussing adolescent girls' education. So there's a studies that has been conducted in relation to access to quality, comprehensive health education. So we'll take a look at this video, and when we come back, the discussion will be centered on adolescent sexual and reproductive health education. We'll be right back.
The project is being implemented by the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education and the International Development Research Center. The launching was preceded by a walk symbolizing the adolescent reproductive health journey to raise awareness of adolescent parent communication and the associated culture. Delivering the welcoming remarks, the project's principal investigator, Fabian Aina Gransanya, says sexual education is a controversial issue in the Gambia, adding the project's research findings revealed that adolescent parent communication about sexual and reproductive health issues, including discussions on menstruation, prevention of pregnancy, and contraceptive use, are limited.
Young Gambians are continuously exposed to sexual and reproductive health challenges such as high cases of early marriage, teenage pregnancy, sexual transmitted diseases including HIV/AIDS, and sexual and gender-based violence.
Representing the Minister for Basic and Secondary Education, the Deputy Permanent Secretary at MOPSI, Jero Sanyang, said comprehensive health education is ideal for children to know how to engage in safe activities, understand their physiological development, and say no to early marriage and teenage pregnancy. Adding the involvement of community leaders and other stakeholders who play crucial roles in the educational career of children is timely and commendable.
Modern education is about attitudes, skills, and competencies. However, in our society, reproductive education, health education, is surrounded with a lot of myths, and these were some of the issues that the research focused on and endeavors to address.
Dr. Ahmed Lamin Samade, the Minister of Health, said young people are usually entangled in sexual and reproductive issues like sexual transmitted infections because they don't know much about them. Thus, the launching of this project is timely and apt.
A whole lot of the health issues we have as a country really are because of poor education, even the preventive strategies. And we are very much aware that whatever the children learn in school, they teach other children, but more so they teach their parents as well.
In her launching statement, the First Lady, Madam Fatoumata Barbaro, commended the International Development Research Center for providing the necessary resources to facilitate this research and called for the integration of health education in our school curriculum.
Young people are usually faced with several challenges as they grow up. These challenges have increased dramatically as a result of the present impressive advances in science.
Despite numerous efforts and policy frameworks to improve sexual and reproductive health of young people in the Gambia, adolescents still lack access to quality comprehensive health education on preventing and protecting themselves against sexual and reproductive health problems. Reporting for QTV News, I am Omar P. Jallo.
Omar P. Jallo there on access to quality comprehensive health education that was launched. So let me just give you a rundown of this particular research, what it focused on before we engage Phoebe and Ina Grant, the principal investigator. So this was based on the fact that in the Gambia, while there are policy frameworks regarding comprehensive health education, there's limited evidence of implementation, and also very little is known about how efforts related to comprehensive health education are coordinated. So this was the research. So Ina, thank you so much for joining us. So I won't call you Ina today. I'll call you Phoebe and Ina Grant because we have to be professional at this level. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Sujana.
Yeah, so tell us some of your findings, considering the fact that this was based on policy frameworks and trying to figure out that evidence when it comes to the implementation of health education. So what are some of the things that you found at the end of this particular investigation?
Thank you, Geneva, for the invitation. Concerning the findings, we have several findings in different categories. We have in-school findings, curriculum findings, and also out-of-school findings. So in-school findings in combination with the out-of-school, because we are dealing with adolescents in and out of school, both boys and girls, aged from 15 to 19. But we have found out that the first challenge was lack of communications amongst parents and adolescents. There is no communication. It's a big gap in terms of sexual and reproductive health issues, because these things that like sexuality, they should not discuss about it. But I believe that without sexuality, there can't be reproduction. So why can't we talk about sexuality? Because sexuality, it doesn't mean sex action, but it talks about menarche to menopause, talking about body and development, talk about skills, talk about knowing who you are, talk about how to prepare yourself. So our findings was lack of communication, especially to, in menstruation, menstrual management hygiene, unwanted and unplanned pregnancy, unsafe abortion, contraceptive usage amongst adolescents, sexually transmitted disease, and gender-based violence. And all these things are surrounded by the culture of silence, because they don't want to talk about it. The other aspect is lack of knowledge amongst parents. The other aspect is shyness and shameness also amongst parents towards their adolescent. And the other aspect also talks about usage of the contraceptive, especially the barrier methods. And the barrier methods, it is the condom. The adolescents, they use the condom for sexuality, just not to impregnate each other, but they don't use it because to know that if they don't use condom, or if they use condom sometimes, they can acquire STDs. The other finding is lack of collaboration among stakeholders. When I mean stakeholders, both government, NGOs, and also the private in terms of reproductive health. I believe that we have to do that together, because you will see this NGO doing one aspect, the other NGO doing the same aspect, and everything, it comes from the same funder. So why can't we do things together? The other thing in the curriculum, teachers' lack of knowledge. Teachers weren't empowered to teach these things. In schools, because their teachers also, they need to be empowered. They need knowledge to know and to prepare themselves to teach sexuality education. Though it's a sensitive topic, but we should not run away, because it is part of us. Sexuality is part of us, because once you grow, and you reach menarche, you must pass through that process. So why can't we start talking about this in our society, in the community as well? People are not aware of this. Things are growing, things are changing, people are growing. So the findings that we have found out of school, parents, they lack knowledge. They lack someone to communicate with them. It's not like they don't want to, but if they have the adequate knowledge, they're able to groom their children as they are growing. Because in the community, we have seen a lot of things going on. Adolescents, they are just loose because once they grow up, they start, especially the girls, they are vulnerable. Once they start seeing changes occurs in them, development of breast, menstruation. The only thing they always advise them is, okay, when now you're seeing your period, once a man crosses you, you're pregnant. Is that the way you become pregnant? No, tell them the facts. Let's just nail it. Explain to them so that they will prepare themselves. Because if a child prepares herself or himself during menstruation, knows the timing of the ovulation, obviously also try not to go into unplanned or unwanted pregnancy. If they don't know that, because in reproductive health, when you start in menstruation, you have to talk about everything. It's a linkage, because if someone knows the menstrual cycle, you're able to prepare yourself in terms of maybe violence, that is rape, or someone can just, incest you, or someone can just influence you. Oh, let's just have time, you will become pregnant. But if you're not adequately knowledgeable about that thing, then unplanned pregnancy will always be there. And if unplanned pregnancy, it is there, of course, when someone is pregnant, a child is pregnant, it's not planned. What's the next thing? It's unwanted. So if at all it's unwanted, what's the next thing? Unsafe abortion. And abortion is illegal in the country.
So what is the risk of, let's take this step by step.
It's a long thing.
Yeah, it is complex.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the effects of unsafe abortions. Because in as much as it is illegal in the country, but we also have to accept that it is happening on the ground.
Everything.
It is happening every single day. So what are some of the effects on the life of this adolescent that we are talking about?
Yeah, because the unsafe abortion, the policy, we have a lot of beautiful policy written, packed on the table without implementation. Implementation is a big problem in the Gambia, in all sectors. So like unsafe abortion, in the policy, it's just written like that. Abortion is illegal, but which one? Because you have two types of abortion. You have voluntary and involuntary abortion. Involuntary means that you have that miscarriage. But voluntary, you're pregnant, you don't want it, and you just want to go and do it. It is not happening. It's not allowed in the facilities. Most of the time, they do it at the back. That's the back way. We call it clandestine abortion. They do. Most girls have met. Some of them, they take Javel or the Zavel. Some of them, they take blow.
Wow.
Some they take different herbs, or some they take different drugs and drink it. The effects, health-wise, it can damage that individual. It destroys the womb. It gives you perforated uterus. Some they just go when they are pregnant, like 4 months pregnant, they can just go and like to just a health worker, anybody health worker, take in money because it's business. They just do it. Open you, put it, cut, and remove. At the end, you go to the hospital. Of course, once you go to the hospital, you're bleeding for a month. You go to the hospital, we are there to help. We are there to care for the patient. Once we see someone bleeding, we examine, assess the person. It was a touch. It is touch. It's voluntary abortion. We have to complete it to save the person's life, because abortion is only allowed to save the woman's life. But some they go and do it at the back way, and then we come and complete it in the hospital. But it is very, very bad, because it leads to death. In the other aspect, if you don't die, you have multiple infections. You have infection upon infection, and that infection can lead to death. And if at all it's not death, if you do abortion more than 3 times, it can cause infertility once you get married. You will be able to bear any child, because the womb will not have that place. Because anytime you conceive, before, let's say 3 months, it comes out, because the multiple abortion that individual have to. That's why it's good to create awareness. It's good to open such platform to talk about these things. It is happening. Why hiding it? Let's talk to them. Adolescents, they need our voices. So these are the findings that we have found, and most adolescents, that's what they want. I've been to 43 schools to conduct a research, and I've had about 1,505 adolescents who participated in this research, as well as teachers and school principals. They need this platform. They need us to start talking about this in our society, as well as the communities from Banjul to Abuko, in 28 wards. I've gathered alcaldes, ward councillors, community people, Bajanigo, opinion leaders. Most of them are not aware of these things. It is happening. Most of them don't even know this. Last 2 weeks, I had a training in Banjul talking about this thing. When I reached STDs, I just explained. But they said, no, we want to see the pictures, different types of STDs. Some of them, they really felt it and even bowed their heads. They don't know things are happening.
Okay, so now take us through the different types of STDs. Because most adolescent, or not just adolescent, just general people feel like it is just HIV and AIDS.
No.
I
have
STD.
something very important to ask before we go to the different types of STDs. Let's talk about what are you people doing to take that notion out of parents. Maybe most of them don't want to talk about this. What efforts are you doing? I can remember during my junior school days, I did Pop FLE.
I did too.
Yes.
Yeah, we all did.
Yeah, we all did.
So is Pop FLE still been taken?
That's where I wanted to start from. You know, like Pop FLE, it has been, since we have benefited from it, and it's normally a standalone subject during our time. That's the last period. They engage us to know about ourselves, our bodies. But now for 2 decades or more, it has not been taught in schools. And the reason why, because there are a lot of reasons why they stopped it. So now in 2017, it was revived again. The name was changed to international standard, that is comprehensive sexuality education. That was end of 2017-2018. But when it has been incorporated, now it's not a standalone thing. They incorporated the subject in different syllabus, like the sciences. There's general science, biology, home science, as well as physical education. So it is incorporated there, but it's not enough.
It's not enough.
Now, the word sexuality, it brought a big problem in the country. Parents thought that they are teaching the young ones about sex, and it is beyond sex. It's talking about sexuality. Now, teachers as well, they are from communities. They are not comfortable to teach sexuality in class, the young ones. Now, education, the SMT, we try to look for a word that befits the name so that everybody can accept it. We had several meetings, and now we took health, because health encompasses everything. So it's comprehensive health education that has been replaced, Pop FLE. But now it is there, but teachers are not teaching it. Because of what? The culture. And not only that, because they lack knowledge. Because I believe that you cannot teach what you don't know. Because if you try to teach something and you explain to your students that, okay, tomorrow or next topic, we are going to talk about reproductive health. What is reproductive health? Nowadays, all kids, everything is on their palm. They will start Googling. You, the teacher, you start teaching. This A, B, C, and D. A smart student will just stand and challenge you. What you're saying is not right. Because teachers, they lack knowledge about this thing, because they weren't taught. Because before you do something, you must teach someone else. They have to be trained. So now we are trying, this research I'm doing, we're going to collaborate with the Gambia College. We explain to them, teach them about reproductive health. Teach them about everything that they need to know so they can prepare themselves
but you know,
class.
Ibrahima, while I was going to school and we used to do Pop FLE, we used to laugh.
Yes.
We had a teacher called Mr. Jallo. Actually, Mom daf dan explain duga touch yabi. Mom lola dan def. Mom, he was open. Mom daf la wax details see one by one. Why da nga gis na ñun ñep dañu negal di nobu di because of security sa mënu ñu waxtane lolu.
You don't have to talk about this thing. Remember na recent xam nga invite nañ fi ben sister mu ngi don wax about how to use pads, how to use those things. I can remember during my days, man lulu nunu nyama for self. You understand? So it's difficult. I think we need more sensitization.
It's a culture bile pare nit ñi miinuñ ko. But da nga gis ne right now, even the parents they want. I've established a community, 190 people in the communities. Anytime I call upon them, they're always in the haste because they learn new things. They want to know. So some parents don't even know about
this. Parce que dafa
5
minutes moo ñu dese bëgg naa nga wax ci yëfi STD bi nga wax ko tam ci olof pour su ko defee suñu yaay understand because fii concept bi mooy HIV moo nekk
STD rek
waaw boobu rek la ba pare daf laa boobu am nañ feeling bi ne daf laa rey te xëj na sax HIV soo jëlee the required step du la rey gis nañ fi ñu fa am HIV di dox seen soxla ñu ngi plomb bi am yaram di toppatoo seen soxla te doo ko xam so waaye am na yeneen xëj na yu ko gën a garaaw yoo xam ne xale yi ak mag yi sax xamuñ ko
waaw so da ngaa gis ne like the STDs yi dafa am curable ak incurable so STD dafa bari na different façon HIV is number one but di nga soo waxee STD when you say STD including HIV AIDS HIV AIDS is the only way wherein you cannot just acquire it through sexual intercourse. You have other means of acquiring HIV. A mother can transfer HIV to a baby through breastfeeding or when you're delivering. You can also get HIV AIDS through pricking, piercing, and cutting, and also through blood transfusion in the hospital. But that one, HIV is incurable. You have the hepatitis, which is a faster killer than HIV AIDS. Because once you have hepatitis, that's it. Because you see everything changes in you within a twinkle of an eye. Everything is damaged. It damages your liver first. Then it goes to the other, your eyes, everything yellow. Before you know, you're gone. You understand? You have other ones that the HPV because they're gonna get to school see you get what hale then you will pay hale jigéen ñu nekk 9 years 13 years dañu na prepare for cervical cancer pour buñ ko am wa da nga gis ne yaay understanding one because of the approach xam nga Gambie lu suñu problème mooy approach buñ leen njëkk a use comme family planning bi approach bi ñu use pour jigéen ñi la léegi bu nga ne góor ñu dugg góor ñu ne déedéet pour jigéen ñi la you understand so da nga gis ne HIV am na beneen anaka STD am nañ gonorrhea am na syphilis trichomoniasis candidiasis understand nga chlamydia different façon yooyu noonu nag yu ma niim nii am na faj waaye danga ko wala njëkk a gaaw nga jóg because last week ma amee training bi wanee naa ko about this syphilis bi ak gonorrhea bi di nga gis pour góor sa meññe gu ñu ooyee spam bi dina nekk di génn rek su génnee rek foog nga jóg lopitaan dem lopitaan ñu bari ko am ñu ko toogee waaye xamuñ lu ñoo def understand nga STDs bu weesoo HIV AIDS ak hepatitis STD yeneen ni through sexual intercourse ko mun a amee góor bu tëddee ak jigéen bu tëddee ak góor di nga mun a am loolu through blood fluids boo xam di nga ko mun a laal so we have to know about these things am na faj am na yu am faj am na yu amul faj HIV di nga mun a naan garab nga dunda 20 years waaye hepatitis doo am benn garab booy naan yeneen yi di nga gaaw nga dem faj sa boppa bu dee ne gonorrhea syphilis dal la jigéen gi mun naa toog ak moom te 20 days wala 1 month du ko dara du ko sonna waaye góor ju amee STDs gonorrhea ak syphilis because góor benn pax nga am sebenee kaay boobu noonu foofu la tamit spam bi di génn jigéen nag ñaari pax nga am fooy sebenee ak fu sa deret gi di génn dafa uti so dañ wala understand ne reproductive organs yi dafa different te nit ñi wala understand ne problème si ñu ni mu ngi si suñ biir ñu ngi koo dunda noonu nañ leeral askan wi wax leen ne lii nekku dafaa yaaxa nit lii nekku dafaa yaaxa xale yi waaye dañu na leeral parce que xale yi right now luñ bugg a xam mu neex ñu mu naxari dañ koo xam because everything is on their palm
dafa mel ni tey jeex na Ibrahima waaye bii nag maa si ñoom Ibrahima yi laa bëgg nga jagleel question bi mu ngi toog déglul ma nag lii papa yi laa bëgg nga waxal ndoo balaa ngaa dem ñoom lan mooy seen responsibility because Ibrahima dañ fi dee dégg xale yi gis seen période wala leneen ñu pousse fa yaay bi wax ko na xala war a def te papa baa ngi toog ndax papa warata mu xam nga seen problème doom bu bonee ndey ga la bu baaxee baay ji la te déedéet ndey ak baay ñoo indi xale so da nga gis ne papa bi responsibility bu yaay am papa bi tamit am na the same thing da nga gis ne problème yi def dee am problème yi ma am na kenn ku ko interview da nga gis ne xale jigéen ñeena yi sama papa leen bu ko ñu waxtaanal ñu expliquer leen
man de xam naa one thing man suma doota
waaw
dafa dee si man waaw
loolu neex
man I love her so much
waaye ban ñaata yës la nekk
mu ngi 5
su tolloo si at bu nga xam di nga wala wax ak moom di nga wax ak moom
di nga ko wax lu mu war a def
waaye su ma jàngee dinaa wax ak moom
waaye jàng nga mu te nekk toog fii
dinaa jàng affaire
na leeral askan gi ne papa ak yaay ñëpp a am àq si doom te buñ nangu nag am àq si doomi ndaw parce que doom am na àqi baay ak ndey ak baay am nañ tamit àqi xale gi lu mu bëgg si ndeyam ak baayam mooy nga jàngal ko nga wax ko digga nga aar ko nga xam ne lépp loo xam ne gàllankoor na ko ca fekka nga xam ne bu ca tolloo dina ne sama baay ak sama ndey wax nañ ma lii so let's communicate The problem is communication. In the Gambia, communication is a big problem. Let's start talking about these things. Let's break the barrier. Let's create awareness so that we won't regret it at the end. And we have a better thing.
Xam naa time dina ñëw. Dina invite her. Xam naa boobu dañoo am ay picture yi nga xam ne ñoo na ko indiwaale. ñu jàng si.
Right.
Nga ne nag di nga jàng. maa ngi ko put si sport bi moo fi nekk góor.
Non dañ war a change. Dañ ko war a starté si ñun. Ñu change suñ mentality bi. ñu mën a def lii.
nekk nii nga ne su àggee ban age la ko war a engage.
xale bi daal buñ xaar according to WHO. the right time nga waxtaan ak sa njaboot mooy at the age of 8. the youngest mother in the world is 9 years old. gis naa xale boo xam ne Gambia fii 11 years la am doom. fii nii si Gambia. dik lan incest. nijaaya moo tëddoog moom ba xale bi am doom xale bu moo wasin. musinut dañ ko mujjee xaar ibi.
waaw wax dëgg.
understand nga soo buñ ne déedéet añ bàyyi nañ waxtaan ak suñ njaboot yi. bu ko xale yi dañ inclusive. age boo xam ne dañ ko ooy inclusive age at the age of 7 years lu nekk la ñoo bëgg a xam. so nga waxtaan ak moom bala moo àgga puberty di menaake.
ok so bu boobaa mu ne dina jàng nag ko maa ngi ko def si sport bi because moom mooy góor bi fi nañ take up responsibility. So thank you so much Vivian and Adran for coming. We really appreciate this. So viewers, we will go for a short commercial break, and when we come back we will be joined by Fatou Juka Dabo, co-founder and director of Make 3D Company. Do stay tuned.
Novelas mi ma gunge ci sama kër gi ba xet gi ne duma toog duma tàyyi man daal de moo koy wëri parfum Novelas suñ ko bis ki kër gi xet gi day neex parfum Novelas mooy waaja lii mooy parfum Novelas parfum bi dafa neex forest bi dafa neex saxaar ba bi dafa neex lii mooy parfum Novelas parfum bi dafa neex Almadina boko pompe xet gi day gunguni lii mooy parfum Novelas baxuur gi dafa neex brise marine bi ak yëpp a neex ak Novelas féppay xeeñ neex.
Welcome back, viewers, from that short commercial break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning. And now we're heading right onto social issues, using 3D to enhance local businesses. And we're joined by Fatou Juka Dabo, co-founder and director of Make 3D Company. Thank you so much for joining us. And congratulations for that award.
Thank you for having me, Jay.
Yeah. We didn't have a chance to catch up for that award, but I mean, you didn't bring the whole thing home, but the fact that you're just part of the finalists was a good thing.
Yes, thank you. Well,
yeah.
Yes, it was amazing,
yeah.
and it was good.
Yeah.
Made it to the finals, did not get the final prize, but it was an amazing experience.
It was.
So okay, Jay, I think you should give me that. Okay. Yes, let's start with 3D.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you give us what it means so that people can understand? Because most people have been hearing 3D, but they don't know what it means.
Sure.
3D printing, in very simple terms, is 3D dimensional printing. It is a form of manufacturing where you use, in our case, we use thermoplastics that are melted by the machine we use, placed into layers until an object is formed. So in very simple terms, this is what we do. We create objects using 3D technology.
Absolutely.
All right, so Juka, quite interesting, and I was just checking some of the work that you've been doing, which is quite good with the COVID-19 and with health. So let's talk about health, you know, because this is such a priority in the Gambia, and we've seen that with Make 3D Company, you are trying to solve some problems when it comes to the health sector with orthopedics and other things. So just take us through how that came about and some of the achievements that you've registered so far.
Yes, so 3D printing technology itself is a very big industry, but when we started in the Gambia, we realized in order to solve problems in the Gambia, we have to know what the problems here are. And when we looked into the Gambian society, we found problems obviously in healthcare, in education, and in general manufacturing. The Gambia is a country where all of our healthcare equipments and devices are imported. Not a single item is manufactured locally in the Gambia. So we thought, if this is what we want to do, we want to be able to shut in logistic chains. We want to provide solutions for Gambians here in the Gambia. And we need to find things that we can do using 3D printing technology. So we looked into it, we did our research, and we found so many gaps and so many solutions that we can provide using 3D printing technology. And these range from prosthetics to orthopedic to respiratory devices to PPEs, etc., etc. So many things that you can do with 3D printing technology if you just embrace it and look into what is needed in the healthcare sector. So at the beginning of COVID, that's when everyone obviously knew what we were doing. we had a partnership with the MRC at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, and we also had a partnership with YEP, and we produced face shields for healthcare workers. We developed some respiratory devices that are currently being used in health centers, and we also partnered with Dr. Keba Marina at the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital to come up with a very specific orthopedic brace that is manufactured here in the Gambia, designed with us and him, and being able to be used in the country locally.
So right now you're just seeing how this 3D process is going on there, and that is at the MRC,
yes.
Am I right?
Yes, this video is at MRC at the Biomedical Engineering Lab where we were hosted.
Okay. And right now this is in relation to the face masks?
This is in relation with our partnership with MRC, the face shields and other devices that we developed in partnership with them.
Okay, interesting. Ibrahim?
Important. Let's talk about 3D and business today. It's like business, people are now taking another step towards business. How does this enhance business, 3D itself?
3D itself can enhance local businesses in various ways. Like when you talk about, let's say, manufacturing of beauty products, one of the things we have done is work with Jula Cosmetics, Maimuna Job, Mariama Job. We have also worked with Maimuna Jahata, so that's why. Yes, so one of the things we have done is enhancing her business through manufacturing aids, basically. First, she was manufacturing lip glosses for her business, and it was very difficult for her to actually produce these lip glosses alone without having any tools and devices to use. But with 3D printing, we were able to manufacture a stand for her where she can put hundreds of lip glosses and just fill them within a very short period of time. So with this, you realize that it is shortening the time that she used for production before, and the energy and the stress that she needed to actually put into her production has been shortened, has been lessened, and she is more efficient now when it comes to the production of her lip gloss. And we also did soap molds for soap producers in the Gambia, which was one of my favorites, because we went all the way to CRR and worked with this woman in Jau, and they were doing soap for a long time, but they never had molds that will actually give them the right sizes of the mold, the branding, which is very important, because they finally had their logo and the quantity, because previously they were just using any cup to mold their soaps, and whatever quantity it is, they did not care about how much it would. They actually cared, but they were not able to figure it out, how much soap they were making, how much profit they were making with what quantity of soap. But with the molds that we came up with, they were able to know, okay, if I make this amount of soap, I make 10 soaps, this is the profit I will make, and this is the brand. And everyone that sees my soap will know this soap is from Women's Initiative. So these things, these little things here and there, solving problems.
Okay, so what are you doing to make sure everybody gets this? What are you doing to expand this, to make sure it goes beyond where we expect this thing? So what are you doing?
As a business, we are working on growing, definitely, but also we want to build the capacity of young people. We want to engage them, because the main issue here is that most people, when we started, most people did not know anything about the technology, but we were able to come up with projects where we engage young people. We were able to explore, we were able to look into different businesses in the country and see where we can come in. So engaging them and building their capacity, making them understand, and also showing them what is possible with 3D printing technology and how it can be incorporated in their business. This is how we plan to reach everyone. And we also want at some point to have 3D printers in hospitals in the Gambia, where doctors will be able to produce for themselves. They will be able to design, even if not design, we can design for them, and they can produce on the spot when the patients need it, like the orthopedic braces. We already have ones that are customized, because obviously every patient is different, and we are working on a customizer where the doctors will be able to click in the parameters for the patient, every patient, do the measurement, click it in, and this will be generated, so you can print it on your own. The prosthetic legs, we are engaging the Department of Social Welfare, because they are the main producers of prosthetics in the Gambia. And we know the technology, but we don't have the health qualifications, so we are working with these people so we can collaborate and come together, do development work, obviously, and produce prosthetics for lower limb amputees, mostly in the Gambia.
All right, Jennifer. Let's talk about the challenges. There must be challenges. Yeah. So what are your challenges right now? Because I'm thinking this 3D thing, maybe getting some of these materials or maybe getting some of the equipment might be a problem.
The equipment itself is not a problem, getting them here, obviously. And the raw material also, we are obviously in the Gambia, we don't have access to raw material like that, but we are sourcing from other countries. Our main partners are in Czech Republic, where my co-founder is also from, so it's easy for us to access raw material and machines for production. Some of the challenges we have had,
a lot of them.
A lot of them, well, yes, a lot of them, but one of the biggest challenges is getting people to understand, which we have really worked on.
Yeah.
And obviously the electricity supply, 3D printing is a technology that needs constant electricity.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a technology that needs constant electricity, but with this we have worked with Bolo in Tujareng, and we came up with a solar 3D printing station, a mobile solar 3D printing station that we can always use. And I guess another challenge is just finding people that are interested in the technology and people that are willing to learn, since it's still a growing technology, and we have to always build the capacity of our staff, be able to be the ones to provide the capacity building, basically. So it's always, we always have to be one step ahead. We always have to be the ones to actually push it.
Absolutely. Interesting, Jenna. I think we need to do some learning on 3D. That's interesting. I like it.
We want the market to grow. We want more people in. So
I love
so
it.
talking about market and wanting more people to come over, we know that you had a partnership with the Youth Empowerment Project in relation to a specific competition that has to do with Make 3D. So I just want to understand what the perception of those young people were when they entered that particular competition, because you talked about the fact that it is hard for people to understand the work that you do. But before those people got into the competition, what was their perception? And after, what was their perception as well?
The perception, the perception mostly for these young people that are coming on board, because honestly, it's a technology that will attract you. So once you see it as a business, or as someone that is curious, you would want to know more and you will want to get involved. So when we launched the Make It 3D Yourself with the Youth Empowerment Project, the prize was to obviously win a 3D printer. And if you're a young person that loves technology and you see a 3D printer that is there to be won, you will actually go in and look for things to do so you can win this. And we did a collaboration. People applied, they went through a training, they came up with projects, and we had to choose obviously the project that was more financially viable and one that would actually solve problems. And the winner was Muhammad Ali Gay, who came up with also came up with a prosthetic project, and he was very interested. He graduated recently from the American University, and he was very interested in the technology. He did so well. His project was amazing. It solved a problem. It was financially viable, and he won. So he went through a training. At the beginning, he did not have a lot of knowledge about 3D printing technology, but after the training he got to understand. He is ready to get into the market now. He is one of our closest partners. He is always at the office, and we are working on more collaborations.
Okay, all right. If a person want to learn this 3D printing stuff, what is the procedure?
The procedure is to come to our office.
You come to your office,
yes,
you have something to feel.
Ibrahim might be coming to your office.
Yes, I mean, coming to being interested is the #1 thing, I would say, but also coming to our office and getting to understand what we do, also coming up with a project, do some research, because most of the things we are doing now is not something that has been there. It's things that we went out to look for. It's things that we did research on, because obviously we know the technology, it's cool, it's nice, you can do a lot of things, but to look for things that actually will solve problems, you have to do the research, you have to understand the problems of the people, and you have to be able to know that this is what I want to solve and this is how 3D printing can be incorporated. So this is one of the first steps, and obviously some knowledge of engineering design will definitely go a long way, and knowledge of computers also material design and knowing materials. If you want to, obviously, if you want to manufacture a table, you know, you cannot just use cardboard. You know, you have to use a particular type of wood. So the same thing with 3D printing technology. If you want to do certain things, you know, you have to use a particular material that will be strong enough, that will resist the heat, that will be able to work in this particular environment. So a lot of factors will contribute, but most importantly, the interest.
The interest.
Yeah, seems, I don't know if you're also open to mentorship, because I've seen that the first global robotics team, which is an all-women's team, was at your place, and you helped them when it comes to the current challenge that they're supposed to deliver to the first global robotics competition. So tell us about that.
Amazing.
Yeah, I saw the excitement in their faces.
They actually launched the challenge yesterday, and they launched their CubeSat, which collected data, and they are into the competition. So that was a successful part, and we are so glad we were part of it. Well, this is what we want to do. We want people to come to us with things, tell us, okay, with them it was, they had the set, they had all the electronics, but they didn't have the outer space because they needed to manufacture it. And this is where 3D printing comes in. See, they were able to figure this out, and they were able to come to us. They said, we needed the outer thing, and we needed help to assemble this, we needed to launch it, and all of those things. And we were happy to jump on the project. So this is what we want. We want young people to come to us. We want them to say, we want to do this. We have access. We have been open to access, to providing access to 3D printing technology. And just yesterday I was talking about how it is kind of unfortunate that not a lot of young people are coming up to say, okay, this is what I want to do, because I am actually open to having them at the office at any time. They can come up with projects, come up with things. We might not be there to say, okay, this is what you have to do from A, B to Z, but if they come up with things and say, this is what we want to do and we want you involved, we are always open. How can
3D help us journalists? What can you do for us journalists?
You let me know.
Yes. If I should come up with something.
Yes, you let me know.
Maybe she can help us manufacture mics or something.
You let me know.
You never know.
You never know.
Something like that.
You never know. You just come up with something. Let us know, and we will tell you if it is possible.
If it's possible or not.
I just want to know, is 3D a lucrative business?
It is.
I'm a fool as well. You know.
Yeah.
It is. It is actually. In the last 5 years, it has been growing globally. On a global level, it has really been growing. In the Gambia, we are here, and we are doing well. We want more contracts and we want more jobs, but yes, it is a good business. So it is a good business.
Yeah. So just finally, before you leave, 3D, it's something new to Gambians, and it's a business that is very new, and you're able to struggle and then reach where you are today, and you still feel like there's room for improvement. But generally, how to run a business, you know, what does it take? Considering the fact that this is not an area that a lot of people venture into because it's unknown to many.
How to run a business in general?
In general.
Wow, in Gambia?
In Gambia.
You have to be really strong.
Really?
Yeah, in Gambia you have to be really strong, but also you have to know what business you want to get into. Okay. For someone like me, it's pretty much easier because obviously it's engineering and it's something I know, and it's a business that it's not like an engineer just getting up and going to sell oil or going to sell food or stuff like that. So it's an engineer that's trying to find solutions and coming up with them in a form of 3D printing technology. So it's easy to transition from the love of technology to a technology business. So getting to know what you want to do, what type of business you want to do, I guess is one of the main things to know at the beginning, and being able and your business being able to solve problems, because you cannot just come up with a business and say, oh, this is my business and I want you to support it. It has to be something that people want. So yeah.
What are you doing to make sure you involve a whole lot? We have a lot of companies that can benefit from your 3D business, I mean, today. Do you meet companies to talk to them about what you do?
We meet companies. That's what we have been doing since we started, basically. Oh, okay. We meet companies. That's how we met MRC. We approached them. We showed them what we were doing. They were able to understand at a very early stage because obviously it's MRC, it's big, and they're exposed to the international world and everything. So they knew what we were doing at the beginning. So since we started, honestly, that's what we have been doing. We have been meeting businesses, we have been meeting institutions, we have been sending proposals, showing them what is possible. So yeah, that's what we have been doing. We have been engaging a lot of businesses.
Okay, interesting, Jenna.
Yeah. So finally,
yes.
I think she should talk about being a woman and being in STEM before she leaves. We wouldn't do justice if she doesn't delve into that. I can remember one time you told me it wasn't difficult for you.
Yes.
You told me that. But generally, it's difficult for other children as well.
Yeah, honestly.
So how should they go about it?
That's
Any
what
tips?
I say. It wasn't difficult for me, but as I grow up in the Gambia, I realized that maybe I'm just one of those few people that has been privileged enough to grow up in a house where I was not limited, I was not told what to do, I was not being controlled by society or anything. So luckily for me, it was easy, but I understand because just in this CubeSat project, it's an all-girls team. We have seen girls that could not go out or that could not be engaged in the project as much as they wanted to because they did not have enough encouragement. So I guess parents just need to be open to exposing their young girls to the sciences, encouraging them and showing them that anything is possible. Like, it's not about gender, obviously, all the time. It's always about who can deliver, how much work you can put in. And these girls, they're so smart, they're so brilliant. I am not the best when it comes to electronics. I am more of the mechanical and technical type than the electronic type. But when I look at them and the work they do, I was so inspired. I was like, you guys are amazing. Yeah. Also, when I was in high school, we did not have this much things to do or activities where we will be engaged in projects and stuff like that. So I was really impressed. I think parents should just be able to encourage their kids and let them go out. It's not about being a girl. We are tired of this, honestly. We are tired of parents holding girls back because they are girls. Let them go out. If they have to go out on the weekend to work on a project, let them go out, encourage them. Make sure you just let them do things that will make them happy, basically, especially when it has to do with STEM and education.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Ibrahima,
so this goes to you again.
Yes,
Ibrahima, I'm so glad you're raising a daughter, and I hope you will.
Yeah, sure.
And it's so, and
you
you
will
know,
not limit
and
her.
when he said they're so close, you know, that's
amazing. Me and my dad, we are super close. We are super close. We bond on so many levels. From when I was young, from assembling bicycles to just simple machines and tools. That's how we have bonded. I think it's an amazing way to achieve.
Beautiful,
you know, dads and their daughters sometimes they're very close. Not in all cases anyway, but sometimes.
Not in all cases, but it's an amazing thing actually. So
so I'm afraid we have to just go, but it's a great conversation. We've been able to touch a lot of other areas. Thank you so much for having me. Looking forward to another conversation with you. So we'll go for a short commercial break, and when we come back, we will head right onto the click segment. Do stay tuned.
Check out the all-new Tigo app at S-Pass Motors. Call 3522-222 or 353-2222 for more information.
Sherry. Looking for the fastest and easiest way to receive money transfers from abroad? Well, QMoney and RIA just made it happen. Now you can receive international money transfer from RIA directly into your QMoney account with no additional cost. Once you receive an SMS alert about your transfer, walk into any QMoney agent across the country to receive your payment for free or use the money immediately to buy credit, QPower and other QMoney services. It's fast, safe and convenient. For more info, call customer care on 133. QMoney, Sunu Kalpe. Terms and conditions apply. Looking for the fast
QMoney, the biggest mobile money service in the Gambia, has taken mobile banking to the next level. Now, you can link your QMoney wallet with your bank account. Yes, link your Ajib or EcoBank accounts with your QMoney wallet and get instant access to your cash anytime. No need to queue at the bank anymore. Transfer funds from your bank account to your wallet or your wallet to your bank account using QMoney Bank Link is the fastest, most secure and convenient way to transfer funds between your wallet and bank account. For more information, call our customer care on 133. QMoney, Sunu Kalpe. Terms and conditions apply.
The best product in town is back. QCell's MiFi router. Get the best MiFi in the country for just $2,800 and connect up to 15 users with 4G internet speeds and a long-lasting battery life. So rush now to any of our customer care locations and get the best for less while stocks last. For more info, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Senior Boss, the Gambia's quality network. We innovate, others follow. Light. From the beginning of time, light has been there.
It is integral to our survival and to our way of living.
We need light to work,
to build,
to grow things, and even to see our loved ones.
Light makes things easier and better.
So QCell has changed the way you buy Q-Power to make it easier and more accessible.
You can now access the same service quickly and get your cash power tokens instantly with the new QCell Q-Power code.
To light up your world, simply dial *363#.
With the touch of your fingers,
with ease and convenience from the comfort of your home or office,
you can bring light into your world instantly with *363#.
Q-Power, lighting your world.
QCell Sunyabus.
We innovate, others follow.
That short break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning. Now on to the click segment.
Good morning, guys. I'm Skengman Sweezy, and it's a wonderful day in the studio with me today. And I'm having an amazing morning already. I had a cup of tea already, you know. Okay. Mine's hot already, you know. But I'm not going to say much. Mine's hot, man.
Take off your jacket.
I said mine's not. We're stopping from there. My guest today is Tula. He's in the building right now. But let's just watch his music video, and when we are back, we're going to set the place on fire.
Black Intellect Empire.
Foban Chola te manka Kodi Las Yantal Senegal Binte bayan wulun tema moje mumbukoite Ndino kongo ke kurine komin patan se intenite Ni mante fa nte se fa kana bala fa Kendi ngol bati nga ke fa sonko manga kelo ke muye batan nin kuman Itelente juso landi muna bante balla ke futu Kenene metulum ila dunun kansa dia Mobe kaninna batu katanda ngane dumu Kanina batu yan sumbu Nganjusu kungol wutu nga dile satu Kano le je kano le mobe kete yal Nin kano fo pelo afo ila molie Anyato kudelo wani suta nyaja
Nakanole garab gachiman ya may begal tamo na la sinyong kai La khasima khalabela naqs saf takide gudat Don't summer paradise nigga may sa jantal Ya isamaran tumala na Ola sisa may eyes Kham galutak makifalaya Danga tere taxi doll Jiko jira fetlal Dagul full nek ya jelpe Girling tere la bang Letan kubang Girling tere la bang My muso Girling tere la bang Letan kubang Girling tere la bang Nikana muso Nikana muso Nikana muso Yes I'm a kana muso Nikana muso Nikana muso Intori la bang
Sinos nakala Yumotori la bang Taylor komwa du yombu ci yow sama xol yow la tand man de yaay sama queen dang mo wallu nice for
That's Takola in the building. Welcome to the show, bro.
Yeah, man. Good morning, wonderful viewers. I'm Stakula right now at the morning show.
It's going hot today. He's all the way from Lamen.
Oh yeah, my
town,
area.
Man.
Yeah, Lamen massive.
We're doing it big today, man. Shout out to all the Lamen people that are out there, you know.
What I'm
So,
thinking, Bob,
yeah.
Where did they get all these chicks from?
Don't worry, we're going to talk about it. This is the morning show.
Yeah.
That is why he's here.
Nice.
So,
Cool,
who is Takola? Tell us a bit about you, bro.
Yes, Takola dafa nekk benn artiste bu nga xam ne mu ngi jóge Lamen, represent Lamen di sigil Lamen, started music career 2021 professionally. Right now mu ngi job si album which is Inimbara album, launching Bilafaneka, 2nd of October, this Saturday.
Yeah. I realized that you don't only work in the Gambia, you also work in Senegal as well, but you don't base here permanently. You've been moving to and fro from Gambia to Senegal, and you had some other collabos with other Senegalese artists as well. How is the music industry in Senegal?
Yeah, so I'm afraid we might have to do this interview in Wolof. All of them, that's myself.
Yeah, because
all of them, that's myself.
No, I know, I can tell. Nice. So, how is it like moving from Gambia to Senegal and working in Senegalese industry as well?
Well, no, thank you so much for that beautiful question. Job la rek because my family mu ngi Senegal, so dama gis ni Senegal la mëna free. Understand nga pour job ak ñom waye teew tamit here they have quality videos, you have standard studios, but the connection out there is more, the bond between me and those people are more stronger than here. That's why I prefer and I'm more comfortable to work with those people, but I don't underestimate or underrate their job because I'm from Gambia, I started my music here, born here and raised here, but my family is in Senegal too.
So, video it's a good video. And video is nice. We've been playing it on QTV as well. So, how was the idea? Do you want any idea Nati actually and songing as well?
Yeah, Kanumuso coming out with love song along. We go love song will be, but it's different from the other love song because love educating long. Katandi coming muso inyande fong value lali fong along. Because be musol like a president wulu, musol like a minister wulu. Ni message ni la mo ibaje like a fenjamal la fo about musol, you understand. So kan muso song la mo yalan ko nil last la doku ate ba Dakar jele.
Okay.
So ate longa koro so ni muta nyamba sarawd la baga ate fonga nyanta na la nga soto le ini bara concert. Yeah, ngam rek kan muso wolong dal,
So video, do you want any video shoot?
Yeah.
Because the video, coming out, I know, a month ago, the video was not shot in the Gambia.
Yeah.
The quality thing is better. Yeah, though Gambian quality thing is there.
Yeah.
We also produce good video quality.
Nice.
But our coloring and other stuff, I'm going to with Gambia video as well. So do you want any video in Doku?
Yeah, video in Bat School la Doku, but Dakar jail nga bolong coming out for nyaming to la kana kualke. So nga jibe janimba dila modo la why not nga project on India tela, because small nga wo contract la sign ko nga project wala tele be job la. So because coming out for nyame rek nga bolong so na ba job la na nga niyo.
Yeah, with clean heart.
Yeah, with clean heart, excellent. So job wala nyama video ni viral ta, it was nice mol kan nyinga jumala job ko but school la job is from Dakar. Nia jibe fong this is very natural, because the cow and what we are saying, it's in relate with the song.
Yeah, it's so like a storyline sort of.
Yeah, excellent. It's in line with it. So fem bitiye mu yalonga tara out of topic wala na fang, that's the beauty of the video because nga finke daming it's more of culture, market infrastructural building also wala nga sud Dakar le.
Okay.
Imagine nga sud daming gadi no long village yalon nina sa tubabo impress no.
Yeah.
Because of the
it's like more of tourism
excellent because farming ning iba jatol jelaje with okras, bitter tomatoes,
So let's talk about your album. Mila album kanaming on which Saturday in Canada attending.
Yeah, this Saturday.
How many songs the album work on and how many collabos for the album work on?
Yeah, we have like 7 tracks with 2 collabo. Yeah,
Juma
last one Kanumuso doing with Jalinaya.
Okay. Jalinaya is doing big shout out to my brother Jalinaya. And shout out to all the Lamin people them right now, So love again just this question, How do you think you can penetrate the Gambian music industry? Because Gambian music is going to another level.
Yeah.
You get it? And you just come into the industry and then you have the way to do your own thing. You have to go through starting processes. You started music seriously in 2021, which is this year actually.
Yeah, this year, yeah.
And the music industry has changed a lot. Yeah. So you have likes of ST and Jizzle, they are doing it bigger. And Brahman John How do you think you can penetrate the Gambian music industry?
Yeah, the things that we put on records goes out to the street. And it may affect the kids listening to us. So then I fendul be things that are missing, not a kawalla for in music, because music is not only entertainment. It's not. So didn't know the mindset sort of in them coming here. Stakula munje, coming because dolka nina tandile music kono is all about coming sneakers wala iPhone wala Finko ego trip excellent inyanda fenna mu yalango is educating coming love song wala message will be jele come sending the current situation of the country mol ngajel kana election this is the right time artists will find their voice out ngame coming ninda opportunity sort of coming ST this is the right time ba findela ka tandi ndolbe mu kilingol la nim political leader at the end of the day ila hat mun ka banko samanya so but imang any artist je mum findita ka ning sifaldi nga songo bondela coming sate you know who is there to sensitize the youth understand about this coming election. So ngamere Gambian music nyanta wo fana jibe la bakele you know because ni nara jibe COVID-19 ning I impact sort of musical. So saying nyanta alona as an artist you cannot go without people. So mol sulata munul fanal comme ni mol batal ding kolyal kono to that time le nyanta findel as an artist.
Saying we're running out of time as well. Saying in final words and in last shout out.
Yeah, nga final words munina te ko na young support. This is the beginning of my career. Nga inimbara concert is 2nd of October this Saturday. So tickets are going for $100, which is the gate ticket. VIP is going for $200.
Let's hold it from there.
Yeah.
I wish you have a successful show as well.
Yeah.
And we are running out of time. Back to you, Jennifer.
So Ibrahima, are you going to accompany me?
You look nice.
Yes. So my outfit is provided by Mina Warehouse, Mina Collection.
It's beautiful.
Yes. So this is it. Thank you so much. So to get an outfit as nice as this or even better, she's right there at Tabokoto. It's Mina Warehouse, Mina Collection. Don't I look like a goddess? Don't I?
It's beautiful.
Don't I, Skeng?
You look like a princess.
I do look like a princess, right?
No, but anyways, you look good.
Oh, thank you. And I know you decided to blend this on your own today.
Absolutely.
And it looks really good.
It's nice.
It is.
Oh,
how about you?
This is Skengman touch.
Skengman touch.
Oh, yeah. My guy.
Yeah, so thank you so much, viewers. Till we come your way tomorrow. Bye for now.
Novelas ni magunge ci sama kër gi ba xet di ne duma toog duma tàyyi man daal de moo koy wëri parfum novelas suñ ko bis ki kër gi xet gi day neex parfum novelas mooy waaja lii mooy parfum novelas parfum bi dafa neex forest bi dafa neex saxaar ba bi dafa neex lii mooy parfum novelas parfum bi dafa neex almadina boo ko bompee xet gi day gunguni lii mooy parfum novelas parfum bi dafa neex brise marine bi ak yëpp a neex ak novelas féppay xeeñ neex.
Check out the all-new Tigo 8 at S-Pass Motors. Call 3522-222 or 353-2222 for more information. Cherry. Check out the all-new Tigo 8 at S-Pass Motors. Call 3522-222 or 353-2222 for more information. Cherry. Check out the all-new Tigo 8 at S-Pass Motors. Call 3522-222 or 353-2222 for more information. Cherry. Check out the all-new Tigo 8 at S-Pass Motors. Call 3522-222 or 353-2222 for more information.
Cherry.
Check out the all-new Tigo 8 at S-Pass Motors. Call 3522-222 or 353-2222 for more information.
Cherry.
Check out the all-new Tigo 8 at S-Pass Motors. Call 3522-222 or 353-2222 for more information.
Cherry.
Check out the all-new Tigo 8 at S-Pass Motors. Call 3522-222 or 353-2222 for more information.
Cherry.
Check out the all-new Tigo 8 at S-Pass Motors. Call 3522-222 or 353-2222 for more information.
Cherry.